I ever change my allegiance to my football club, then I'd be in trouble. Fans internationally, they will. Lionel Messi moves from one club to another, they'll move with him.
Players are paid exceptionally well. You know, they are very, very privileged individuals. You have to service the revenue, and the revenue is TV audiences, live audiences, digital audiences, and they want their pound of flesh.
You can have digital fans anywhere in the world, and they will spend money in merchandise. They will pay subscription to become an international fan. They will pay the pay-per-view to see your games. It's very important that a good internationalization strategy is in place in clubs.
Welcome to the Deal Room Sport then, a very special episode because it's a Christmas episode. You'd hardly know it though, gents. I have to say I'm very disappointed with the turnout for the Christmas jumpers. It's just me that's done it.
Yeah, must have missed the memo somewhere.
I think we had our nice new uniform earlier in the week, so I think we've all just got a little bit excited and
Fair enough.
But we've got the Christmas tree, so we're all good.
Christmas tree decorated interestingly, if you're a football fan. Fair enough, okay. Well, as per usual then, we have Adrian Wright, who's the CEO of Sporting Group International Sporting Jobs. We've got Ian, who is the UK Managing Director. And a new face to the podcast, Diego. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Diego, tell us a little bit about your role. What's your official title then?
I'm country manager Spain at SGI. I've been in the role for 17 months now. Very happy.
Excellent. Well, we'll find out more about exactly how that all works and how it came about in just a bit. First of all, in fact, Adrian, we should talk about how the story outside of the UK kind of began the expansion. Because actually, very early on, didn't you? You kind of started that expansion because it's nearly 10 years now since you started SGI.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about that.
Well, international work has kind of been in my blood really for a long time. I think 2013 was the first time that I stepped foot out of the UK in sport to work in a market that I think most people would have said, you must be mad. You know, why the hell would you go to India of all places in the globe to try and establish a fan base for West Brom at the time I was working for, try and obviously acquire sponsors and just try and effectively put some roots down in a territory that I couldn't see anybody in the Premier League or the UK really had got any form of footprint in. So that's where it started, 2013. We're now going into 2026, so effectively a 13-year period of being, you know, wedded to kind of an international plan, which is still in my head. You know, it's probably a 25, 30-year deliverable plan, but it's there, it's live. You know, Diego is another example of us growing, you know, SGI into new territories. You know, we were fortunate enough that we put together, you know, several major deals across Europe that effectively we weren't actually looking to grow a European footprint. We were very UK and India centric, but those deals literally just opened my eyes to say there's no difference between what we do in the UK to Spain, Italy, Germany, France, and literally was there for the taking. So we're like, right, we have to seize the moment, and that's what we did.
So why India initially? Because you felt like it was obviously an untapped market.
Yeah.
What was it about India for you that you saw and thought there's opportunity there?
Well, obviously the Premier League used to provide reports to all the commercial directors, and there was a lot of their territories are ranked in tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. And India was always kind of floating around a tier 2 and tier 3 mark. But as we know, it's now the most populous country in the world. So in terms of eyeballs, you know, if you can convert some of those cricket mad fans into football, or the new generation consuming sport into football, you've got a massive audience that you can commercialise. So obviously with West Brom being in an area that, you know, there's a disparate community in terms of there's quite a lot of you know, second and third generation, you know, migrants that have come over from India that also resonated with that local fan base, which was, you know, we didn't have, you know, a lot of people that were from the local community represented at West Brom. The percentage was really poor. And I was like, we've got to do something about that. You know, we can't be on, you know, the doorstep of a community and just them not being in the stadium. It's ridiculous. So I just thought, and probably early days, a bit naive, thinking just because you go to India doesn't mean that you're going to get people from India and other territories coming to the football stadium. But it wasn't about that. It was like literally trying to explain that West Brom did have aspirations outside of West Brom. in the UK.
Yeah.
And that was just laying some foundations down. We did lots of really interesting things during the time I was there. And, look back and I thank the chairman and the rest of the board for giving me the freedom to try a few things. And that's how I've ended up with SGI and the stuff we do outside of the UK.
And of course,
sorry, Ed, I was just going to say, I think going back sort of 2013, 2014, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't that around the time that India were kind of trying to break the mould themselves when it comes to football? Wasn't that like when the ISL was kind of formed? I know they're obviously having their challenges now, which is a crying shame. But at the time, you can understand, actually, do you know what, now's a real key time to get involved in that movement in football in India?
Yeah, I think I got someone on LinkedIn sent me a message saying, any chance we can get some of your players that aren't featuring in the squad to come and play out in India? And I was like, I didn't even know India had a football fraternity, and that's how it transpired. And I just thought, well, China was an option, and there was very other territories, but I just thought, India very much had got a British kind of like system-based thought process around legal, around finance, and it's just a place that that's the good thing. It was a direct flight from Birmingham International as well. Air India flew straight into Delhi. It was a 9-hour flight, and we had a really good relationship. We got Air India on as a sponsor. And those are little things that tick the box for me. It's like, well, it needs to be convenient for us to get to. I'm taking coaches out there. I'm taking other board members. Might be taking sponsors out there. Right. I literally, if I can fly from the local airport directly into India, it's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, as you've expanded from there, you've gone Japan, across Europe as well, which is where Diego comes in, of course. Now, so you're based in Spain, Diego, which is your country. So how did this all come about that you got involved with Sporting Group International?
Well, so my background is a bit diverse. I've developed all my career in London in financial services. In 2021, I moved back to Spain to take on a role in SD Huesca. It's a football club in La Liga. I was there for 3 years, heading up the marketing communications department and international business. And after 3 years there, I decided to fly solo, set up my own agency. I was working for 4 months till I crossed paths with SGI. Had a meeting in London with Adrian, and we were so aligned in our vision on internationalization and where the sports business is going, that I was lucky enough to get offered the position of country manager Spain, which I took, and here I am.
And so how does your role look day to day? What kind of things are you doing?
So basically it's pretty much what the guys are doing in the UK, but I extended to Spain. We are looking after sport properties that they are looking for new partners or sponsors. We also support brands that want to enter Spanish market through a sponsorship. We advise them, and that's pretty much what we do, really, and find the ways to support those ambitions.
Ian, I guess as UK Managing Director, do you work quite closely together with Diego then? Yeah.
I mean, and this is one of the things I'm more proud of, is the fact that we've done quite few cross-border, if you like, partnerships or deals, which I think give SGI a real flavour of what we are as an agency. We're not just deal or broker deals in one territory. We have people in many different countries, and that gives us that competitive advantage to have eyes and hands in different countries that facilitate international deals.
So for Ian, are you a big relationship, important relationship for you then?
100%. I mean, I speak to Diego literally just as much as I do the team here in the UK, if I'm perfectly honest. We are on the phone 3, 4, possibly even 5 times a day. We have regular Teams meetings. And like Diego alluded to, most of our deals are cross-border. Most of our deals are literally me, Taylor, the team in India on a weekly meeting, going, look, I've come across this asset. It's in a unique emerging market. It's a unique sport. Have you got any brands in your portfolio or in your client base that might be interested? And actually, you know what? most of the time there are opportunities that are born from that. And we mentioned it many times, but some of the ones that have happened already this year are the likes of the PDC and Hire. I had a relationship with the PDC and the Matchroom Sport team. Diego from Spain had a relationship with the team at Hire. The two came together, and that's how we created that sports partnership. Very, very similar with some of the stuff we're doing at the moment with Battle of the Beasts and some brands that Diego's brought to the table. It's a huge part of the business and a huge part moving forward as well.
So the main topic for this is internationalisation. I had to practice saying that a few times because you can trip over it quite easily. Diego, do you want to take this one? How would you describe that?
I think it's hard to say.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I think it's crucial. I think it's key for any sport property to dive into internationalization, which is those actions you take to take your brand outside the domestic market where it operates. Why is it important? If we talk football, I'm talking about Spain, but the same in the UK. The domestic markets are saturated. You see day in, day out, clubs are struggling financially to get more money in. So it's important to go elsewhere to find more money. And it's not just about money. It's in the process of internationalizing your brand or your club, you enter in a new dimension. You need to engage fans. You create new fans. Your brand attracts fans from different jurisdictions, different countries, different languages. When you go to talk to a brand, one of the first things they say is, how can I reach, or who do I reach through this club? Brands, we live in a world that sports sponsorship is not what it used to be 20 years ago, where brands would stick the logo on the front of a shirt and that was it.
Yeah.
Now brands expect metrics. Now brands expect return. And because everything can be measured digitally, the more reach a club has, the easier for a brand to be aligned with that club. So clubs that are only in that specific domestic market are never going to be attractive for international money, international brands. Brands want platforms where they can show their products, where they can reach new audiences, and clubs need to internationalize. I'm talking football, but it can be any sport.
Sure.
And it's important, especially as well if we talk about digital funds, which is something that 20 years ago didn't exist. The only way clubs had to monetize internationally was through summer tours, and even broadcaster rights were not as big as they are now. But these days, you can have digital funds anywhere in the world, and they will spend money in merchandise. They will pay subscription to become an international fund. They will pay the pay-per-view to see your games. So it's very important that a good internationalization strategy is in place in clubs.
Adrian, anything to add to that?
Yeah, obviously, Diego's really encapsulated the internationalisation plan really well there. I think another area that probably needs to be mentioned is the player arrangement. If you are a club that has an international player, that's an also really good opportunity for you to leverage that player into a market. So Japan is an area that we've been working really hard with. Diego had a lot of history and knowledge of the Japanese market. He was connected and had a good relationship with Shinji Ogasaki, who was the Premier League winner with Leicester City, literally an icon in Japan. Shinji's now agreed, we agreed some terms with him about 12 months ago that he's now an ambassador for SGI. So whatever we do in Japan, Shinji looks at, he reviews, he gives us ideas. If we need him, we can use him. But we've already done business with a Japanese brand. We've brought a Japanese brand into the Spanish market. They've done a front of shirt sponsorship with a club. We have a similar opportunity, not front of shirt, but a tour that we are very, very close securing for a Premier League club that would see this team travel in July, which is currently in the process of being finalised. It's not a guarantee yet. There's going to be a trip out there in the earlier part of 26 for us to establish and show them exactly what they're going to get from that visit. So the players also add a massive amount of value for the clubs to commercialise as well. Obviously, there's a very fine line between how much can you use that player versus the collective. You can't just be seen to be just putting that person or that player, on everything. But there's a chance for you as a club to really, really home in on a market if you've got a really good player for a market that's emerging, and Japan is.
Yeah, I mean, some clubs. I mean, we need to look at clubs in different, let's say, levels, if you like. You have the global brands that Liverpool, Man United, Barca, Real Madrid, that don't need a specific player from a country to go to those countries and be a massive success already, because they already have fans everywhere. But if you go 1-2 steps down, a player from a specific territory can be a game changer for that club if that club develops an international strategy around that player. And we've seen this. I mean, we see clubs in the Premier League that currently have Japanese players that are looking into entering the Japanese market because they have that Japanese player. I've seen this in Spain. We've seen this in Spain with Mallorca, Real Sociedad, Huesca, Leganés, Eibar, that had Japanese players that opened the doors of Japan as a market, and you saw not only the media coming to cover the games, but you started seeing Japanese sponsors in those clubs. So I think it's very important that when you have the opportunity as a club to activate that strategy.
Ian, I'm bringing you in on this point just to talk more about why it's so important for clubs. I mean, I think Diego and Adrian have covered it pretty well. There is so much revenue out there. You're missing out on a big proportion if you're not involved in internationalisation. Yep. And also digital fans as well. That might be a phrase that some people might not have come across before, perhaps.
Yeah, 100%. And to be fair, the guys covered it and articulated it really well. But I suppose just going back to the sort of player scenario, a lot of football fans nowadays aren't necessarily following clubs. They're following players. Yeah. They're influenced by people and the following. Long gone are the days where you could actually change your allegiance. Because if I ever changed my allegiance to my football club, then I'd be in trouble. Yeah. However, nowadays, certainly, fans internationally, they will. If Lionel Messi moves from one club to another, they'll move with him. Yeah. And I think that's really, really important. And if I... Again, as Diego mentioned, if I was a CEO of a club, I'd be working very, very closely with the technical director and the first team head coach to try and find, number one, yes, we need someone with the technical ability to make sure that they achieve high standards for the team, but also, what can this do from a commercial perspective for my football club, and how can that genuinely bring in revenue both from partners, sponsors, brands from a particular territory, but also generate a fan base from that territory. And not just a fan base from the territory where that particular player are coming from, especially here in the UK, which is such a diverse, country with so many different nationalities. You're also attracting and appealing fans to go to your stadium regularly. Yeah. It's massively important. And if clubs aren't thinking about that right now, then they need to be, for sure.
I guess we're seeing this with pre-season friendlies as well, aren't we? They're becoming big events. They're going to places like Japan, and those are events on their own. Previously, it'd just be, we need to get the players, some miles on their legs kind of thing. But it's much more than that now, isn't it, Adrian?
Yeah, I think that one, Sir Alex Ferguson always used to gripe about the trips to the Far East.
Yeah.
It doesn't set us up well for the start of the season. And then, all of a sudden, the penny dropped when someone actually said to him, Sir Alex, look, this is the reason we're doing this. And he's like, look, if you want to sign X player, by us having a network of revenue coming in from this part of the world that we have to service, that potentially be the difference between that player coming in or not. And all of a sudden, he quickly changed his tune. Yeah. And I think, look, most head coaches want to play it safe. They don't want to do overseas tours that are long haul. They want to do it in Europe. They want to go to places they know. They want to know, what food they're going to get, the training facilities. They want a quick, no more than a 3 or 4 hour flight, get home back to the family quickly, where, clubs are now demanding more, and they have to. Players are paid exceptionally well. They are very, very privileged individuals. And I appreciate it can be seen as that burnout mentality. And people are saying, well, the players are just playing too much. Well, yeah, but unfortunately, the beast is created. You have to service the revenue. Yeah. And the revenue is TV audiences, live audiences, digital audiences, and they want their pound of flesh.
And clubs have fans everywhere these days. You have to think about the likability factor of clubs. These days, La Liga, Premier League, Serie A, you can watch everywhere. Last summer, we saw Deportivo coming to the UK on a summer tour to play 2 games, Watford and Middlesbrough, and the stadium was full of fans from Depor, which is beautiful to see. And that proves that these days fans are everywhere. Those were no guys that were traveling with Depor, were guys that live in the UK. So clubs need to look after those fans. Back in the days, there weren't so much, but these days it's imperative that clubs look after those fans that live far away, because even the short term, they're gonna generate revenue.
In terms of expansion then, Adrian, is this something from an SGI point of view you're going to do more of, do you think?
Yeah, well, Europe, tick, we are actively in the market, generating revenue, looking to hire people, in the right time. The Far East is now also mobile. We have a partner that we'll be announcing in 2026 that will see us have access to Thailand, Indonesia, Singapore, Japan, and I think that's it. But in terms of us getting a footprint of SGI into territories that we probably wouldn't be able to do from a standing start, it's like A, the time difference is tricky. B, it's obviously hiring people. The further you are away from home, it's hard. But we've identified a strategic partner that is literally going to work under our auspice in terms of we're not going to brand it just SGI. We'll be working in collaboration. So that means we'll have a footprint in the Far East, but we're definitely going to be looking at the US. The US has been something that we've always put in the roadmap for 2026. That was something that I think I had mentioned on previous podcasts, that we have to be in the US. Our brand, our activities, our even discussions. We are in the US already. We're not as if we're not there. We're speaking to MLS clubs. We're speaking to all sorts of different, sports opportunities, and people know who we are. So it's good. It's good.
Does that tie in with Sporting Jobs then? Is that something that's also going to follow, do you think?
Yeah, I think Sporting Jobs have already started that evolution outside the UK. Harry and the team have really put their feet down in the Saturday market. It's generating very, very good opportunities for that entity, and really they can pretty much piggyback off our work, and we can do the same. It's like we build networks, we build and create relationships with people that it doesn't matter what part of the world they're in, we talk the same language.
Just to finish up then, any final thoughts really on internationalisation that we haven't covered? And I think we've kind of given it a good round talk already.
I would like to add that we've been talking from the sports property point of view. I would like to add that brands can benefit from it. Brands, there's that common assumption that sponsorship is just for big spenders. Internationalization gives you the opportunity of becoming regional partner of a big club elsewhere, and for a minimum, for a lower investment level. So just to give you an example, a top La Liga club will be charging in the region of, a couple of millions to become a sponsor, but a regional partner in another territory, the fee is much lower, but you are linked to that club. So, we've been talking from one side, but the other side, it works for the other side as well.
Yeah, I can give a live example of that, to be fair. There's a brand in South America, and they want to look at an opportunity with a European club that has LATAM players. So they have LATAM players, they want to target that, and they want to become a regional partner within LATAM, using those particular players as leverage to obviously grow their brand out there. So I suppose that just gives you a bit of a live example of how that can really work to their advantage.
Just to round up the episode then, we're coming towards the end of 2025, coming into 2026. Should we get some crazy predictions that will probably age really badly? So what's going to happen? What are the big sporting moments in 2026? The obvious one is who's going to win some of the major leagues like the La Liga and Premier League and Serie A? Who are the big winners?
And please do not say Premier League Aston Villa, Adrian.
No, our retained partner in Spain, Deportivo La Coruña,
100%.
they're getting promoted.
That's happening, is it?
They're
Yeah,
getting
Depor
promoted.
is getting promoted.
it's happening. Great.
Yeah, that's my only prediction.
That's the only one you're going to go for. Okay, fair enough.
And I'm gonna get that right.
Diego playing it safe. Fair enough. Okay. What are we saying about the Premier League? Have Arsenal got this nailed on, do we think?
Mr. Dutton, you called that.
I called
You
Arsenal at the
did call
start,
Arsenal,
and I'm going to remain with Arsenal. However, I think it's going to be tight. I still think Man City are going to. They're starting to show how good they are as a team. I do hate to say it, but Villa are on a very, very good run at the moment. You know, and
Imagine that.
who knows? Who knows? You know, it's a wide open league. Chelsea, you know, they're a little bit hit and miss, but they are a really good team as well. So I still think Arsenal, but I think they're going to be closely
the World
followed
Cup?
by.
Well, this is something we need to talk about as
okay,
well,
let's
don't
go
we?
on.
Yes.
The
Come on,
World
who are we
Cup.
going for the
World
World
Cup.
Cup?
The World Cup next summer.
Oh yeah, of course. Well,
Who are we saying?
Well, I put out there that I think Luke Littler's going to win the World Championship.
Okay.
So the double header, Luke Littler World Championship and England for the World Cup.
Oh, we're actually going to go for England. You're doing it. Okay.
I'm doing it.
Diego, can you subscribe to that?
Obviously not.
No.
Spain for me.
Got to be, has it? Okay, fair enough. All right. Adrian?
God, it's a tricky one.
Isn't it?
Well, it's between 3 or 4 clubs, isn't it? Let's face it.
I mean, yeah, who knows?
Any one of them could win.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Spain for me as well.
Spain, okay. 2 for Spain, 1 for England. Could be living in hope with the Englands. I mean, I'd love that as well, but there we go. Well, as we say, these predictions could age very badly. We'll check back and see where we are.
Ed, you haven't asked Diego who he follows?
Oh, yeah. Who's your team, Diego?
I don't have a team.
Oh, really? Oh.
I'm as a fan, you mean?
Yeah.
I don't have a team. In England or in general?
Is it Villa? No, you're in
No, it's
Birmingham.
not Villa.
No, not Villa.
You have a Spanish team, though.
I like Barca. I've always liked Barca, but ever since I was little. Then when I moved to London, I've gone through different stages. Started supporting Arsenal when Arsene Wenger was there. Then I started liking Liverpool. I even followed West Ham at some point. But yeah, I mean, and obviously Depor.
Depor. Okay, fair enough. So you are one of the fans we've been talking about. That you're not necessarily affiliated to one club. You kind of float around a bit.
Glory Hunter.
I was trying not to say that, but
Well,
yeah,
in
maybe.
England, I've never felt very attached to any club in England, and I've lived in London for 19 years, but I've never felt very attached. I've enjoyed different things from different clubs. I loved going to see West Ham United because the atmosphere was brilliant. Same as Liverpool. But then there was the time where Liverpool was not performing so well. So these days in the UK, in the Premier League, if I had to choose a team, it would probably be Man City.
Okay.
Because of the football they've played, and Pep Guardiola, I'm a big fan of him. But yeah, in Spain, would be, if you push me, it would be Barca and obviously Deportivo.
Fair enough. I mean, there was where you were thinking that Ian was the politician, but I think Diego's played a blinder here, hasn't he? Really?
Yeah, you are pushing me.
It's a good place to leave it. Gentlemen, as always, thank you very much. Have a great Christmas. We'll catch up in the new year.
Merry Christmas. Cheers,
Merry
Ed.
Christmas.
Thank
Merry
you.
Christmas.